Welcome to TpT Easel Activities. This resource is designed to help you play with Easel and learn about all its tools and features. So if an activity is an Easel activity, you'll see this label right here. Once you purchase it, you'll have a green button that says Open an Easel. So let's go ahead and open it so we can get it ready to assign to our students. Once it opens, you'll see it in your list of all of your other activities. You can click the three buttons to delete it, or you can click the name of it in order to modify it. So I'm going to click the name, and let's go ahead and change the name. You do that by clicking the pencil and then typing in the name of the activity. We'll just call it Practice. Now click Done, and you can see that it is now called Practice. On page 4, you'll find the guided play. You can work through this yourself and figure out all the different tools, but I'm going to do it with you so you can just watch this if you want to. So open this file in Easel. We've already done that, so I'm going to use the pen tool just to mark it off. The next thing says to zoom out so you can see the entire page. Over here in the top corner, you'll see the plus and minus to zoom out or in. So I will zoom out by clicking the minus sign until I can see the entire page. All right, so I'm going to mark that off. Notice that the formatting stuck. So whatever you formatted the last thing you've done, it's going to continue on with your new things. Okay, the next thing says to edit the pages to remove the copyright information and promotional information from the activity. Notice that links aren't active. To use links, you must open the PDF version from the product page. So let's go ahead and look at something with a link. Here are links, but they are not clickable. Even when you go to the preview button, they're not clickable there either. So if you need these links, you can always go back to the product page and download the PDF. Okay, so let's do what that checklist said by editing pages to remove the ones we don't want. So we'll click here where it says Edit Pages, and I'm going to remove the copyright pages or any promotional pages because the students don't need to see that. Once I have selected those pages, I'm going to click the Remove button, and you'll notice that they're gone. Then just click Save Changes so that you get back to your file, but it's missing the pages you don't want. So let's go ahead and use the pen tool to mark that off. Okay, the next thing says add a blank page and drag it to the front. So to get a blank page, just go back to Edit Pages, and you'll click the button that says Add a Blank Page. By default, it goes to the end, but you can just click it and drag it so that it's at the beginning of your document like that, and then just save your changes. And then you'll see that we now have a blank page right in the front. So let's go ahead and mark that off. The next thing says to use the text tool to add a title on the blank page, comments page. We'll increase the size, change the color, and center it. Okay, so I'm going to use this text tool. Wherever you click, you'll be able to start typing. So I'm going to type comments page. Now I'm going to click the text box in order to change the size. It will word wrap if it gets larger than the text box, but you can increase the size of the text box as well. You can change the color by clicking the down arrow, and you can align it as well. So now that is done, and we can check it off our list. I'm going to choose the pen tool, and notice since I previously changed it to red, it sticks, and now my pen tool is using the red. Okay, next it says use the pen tool to draw a smiley face on the comments page. So I'm going to go back here, use my pen tool, and I will change it to yellow with a thick border, and I'll just draw a smiley face. Okay, so let me go back. Remember, if I mark it off, it's still going to be the same formatting. You can always press Ctrl Z to undo your last action. So let me change it back to red. All right, the next thing says on the checklist page, use the text tool to add to the checklist. Pre-assessment, practice sheet, exit ticket, task cards. So here is the checklist page. We are going to use the text tool. You can go ahead and make the size and the color, whatever you want them to be. And then once you click, that's where you're going to start typing. So pre-assessment. Now when I click again, it's going to automatically start the next text box. Okay, so now I have these words written so that students know what work they need to complete. So I will go back here and check it off my playlist. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is add movable slashes that students can use to mark their work complete. You can use the select tool to copy paste your original slash. All right, so I'm going to start by making a slash. So I'm just going to click the shape tool, and here is my line, and I will go ahead and keep it diagonal, although you can rotate it however you want. And I'm going to change it to red, make it thick, and I also want it to be movable so that students can drag it from here to mark off the box when they're done. So once I have all my formatting done, I can also click the select tool in order to select it, and I can use my shortcuts for copy and paste in order to create additional slashes. So I will make 4 since there are 4 items that they can check off. Okay, so let's go back and mark it off our list. I'll use the pen tool, but notice that it still is chosen as movable. So if I make this check mark right here, that check mark on the student copy is going to be movable. So I'm going to unclick that and make sure that if I choose select and select it, and then I can make sure that it's not movable. Okay, so the next thing says to add directions to the representing decimals pre-assessment, and the directions will say, use the pen tool to answer the questions. Okay, so here's this page. I'm going to zoom back out so we can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to write, use the pen tool to answer the questions. Okay, and that's it for that one. So I'll go back here and check that off. The next one says, highlight the directions, color the box green if you answered the question correctly. So let's go back here, and at the very bottom, you'll see those directions, and we're going to highlight them. So I will choose highlighter. I can choose my color for my highlighter and the thickness, and then you just drag across to highlight that. Okay, so let's go back here and back to the pen tool. Notice that my formatting stuck. I can use my shortcut Control-Z to undo that, change it back to what I want it to be, and mark it. The next thing says on the Money and Models page, add answer boxes for the students. So here is the Money and Models page. I'm just going to add a box that they can type their answers in. So I'm going to click Answer Box. Then where I want the top corner of the box to be, I will click, and then holding down my mouse, I just drag across until my box is formed. You can make those for your entire sheet. Okay, and now the students will be able to type in those. So let's go mark that off the list. Okay, the next one says, on the exit ticket, erase the duplicate questions. So this resource was originally created to be printed and cut into fourths so that you don't waste any paper. So we are going to pretend erase by just creating a shape to cover it up. So I'm going to click the square, and then I'm going to change it to a white square with a transparent border, and I'm just going to create a rectangle that covers that. The formatting will stick, so once I click again and create a new square, it'll be the same exact way. All right, so let's mark that off. The next one says, on the task cards, add a movable circle that students can drag to mark their answer. So let's go down to the task cards, and I'm going to use my shape tool again and add a circle, and I'll just go ahead and circle number 1. This time I want the circle to be transparent, but I want it to have a border. Let's make it a thick border. And we want it to be movable so that students can drag it and mark the correct answer. So I will leave it right there. I can use the select tool to select it, and then my shortcuts to copy and paste it so that I can repeat that for the other problems. All right, so let's check that off. Okay, the next thing says to modify task card 3 so that it is short answer instead of multiple choice. So here is task card 3. We can see that it's multiple choice, but we're going to modify it. So the first thing we need to do is to erase the answer choices, and we will make it a white text box with no border. So now there are no answer choices, but we want it to be short answer. So let's add an answer box so that the students can type their answer. All right, let's mark that off the list. The next thing says, under task card number 5, use the text tool to add a reflection question. What would choice D look like if it were represented with coins? Add an answer box. Sometimes you might want to modify your activities for different student groups, such as gifted students or students with special learning needs, and you can use Easel to do this. So under number 5, let's go ahead and enrich the students' learning by adding a reflection question. So I'm going to click here and just type my question. What would choice D look like if it were represented with money? Now I'm going to add my answer box. Notice that however large you drag your answer box is how large the answer box will be. It doesn't resize automatically so that it fits in the text like lots of other programs do. Okay, so let's mark that off the list. Next it says check out the assignment in the preview tab. So we're done making all of our modifications to the assignment. Now we're going to preview it so we can see what a student will see. So on the preview tab, we can see that all of these text marks that we made, or the drawing marks that we made, they are stuck. So it becomes part of the activity. You move through the pages by clicking the arrows right here, and you can still zoom in or out in the same way. So on this page, the work that students need to complete is not clickable. You can't move it or drag it or erase it. But the slashes that we made are, so that the students can take it and mark it off when they've completed that portion of the activity. So the students can then use the tools themselves in order to answer the questions. So when the student wants to shade 2/10, they can use the highlighter or the pen, and then they can do that right on their worksheet. When you make an answer box, it will be there. The answer box itself is not movable, but the student is able to click in there and type their answers, whatever their answer might be, which is not 2.0. All right, and notice here that those boxes that we made to cover the additional exit tickets are no longer there. So the student just has this one piece of work to work on. So all of the things that we did, for example, this one is now movable, but the other things that we did are not movable, such as the directions. So we see here that we accidentally left the formatting in place to make this shape movable. So if we want to correct that, it's super easy. Just go back to the Prepare tab. It will take you to the same exact page that you were previewing, and then all you have to do is click Movable to make it not movable now. We unclicked it. So back on the Preview tab, you can see now that that white box is no longer movable, and the students can type their answers here. So I think we're good on the preview. So let's go ahead and mark that off our list. And now we are at Assign the Activity. So up here on the third tab is Assign and Review. When you click it, you'll notice that a code is automatically populated for this assignment. When you're ready, just click Assign, and it will ask you if you want to share it on your Google Classroom or if you want to generate a link. But do know that students need to log in via their Google email account to complete the activity. This cannot be used if students do not have a Google account. So even if you use a different learning management system, they will still need a Gmail. So let's say we're going to share it on Google Classroom. So then it will pop up here. You just have to connect it to your classroom and then choose your class. And then you're going to create an assignment and then click go. Now you'll have all the same different formatting that you're used to seeing. And then just click assign. So now it has been assigned. You can click view to check it out. And it is right there. So let's go back to Easel. I'm going to X this off. If you have a second class, maybe an afternoon class, then you would have to click create new code in order to assign to your second class. So the new code will automatically generate. You just click assign, go back to your Google Classroom, and this time choose your other class. So let's mark that off our list. So I'm going to go back to the Prepare tab, and we assigned the activity. Oh, we actually also assigned the activity to another class. We worked ahead. So the last thing is to check and see if any of your students have submitted their assignment. So in order to check and see if any of your students have submitted their assignment, you're going to go back to your main list of Easel activities. So here is that activity we named practice, and I can see right here that no one has submitted it yet. If I click this button, it will take me to a list of any of the students that are working on it. Once students have turned it in, you can always return it to them and then they can resubmit it. And all of your checking of your students' assignments will happen right here. So you don't go into Google Classroom to see their work or anything like that. It all happens right in the Easel platform under the student responses. So I hope this resource helped you get a little better feel of what Easel activities are and how you can use them in your own classroom with your students. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My email address, Cassi@mindsinbloom.com, is in the video description. Have fun!